Hi everyone, my name is Leanne and today I'm going to be doing the Boujee BookTuber Tag. This is a tag that was created by Olive over at ebook Olive, and I will leave her original video linked down below in the description. When I saw the title of this tag, I was immediately like, I am definitely going to be doing this one because it's totally up my street. And when I saw that Olive very kindly tagged me, I was so excited because it gave me an excuse to share all of my thoughts on these questions. And oh boy, I got some thoughts. This tag is a lot to do with spending habits and monetary value in relation to your reading life. So I can understand that that's something that a lot of people might not want to talk about, but as I said, I got some thoughts. The very nature of owning books is in itself a privilege. And it's something that as a community we need to acknowledge. We need to acknowledge that it is a huge barrier into this community. But I also think there is a lot of misconceptions around money and books. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about how booktubers get books. I think there's like this idea that a lot of booktubers are going out and buying like $14.99 hardbacks and like buying like 20 of them in a month. And I'm sure there are some people who do that. But it is not the majority of us. Anyways, let's just get into the questions. The first of which is blunt and frank, and I love it. And it is, what is your monthly budget for books? And the answer is, I don't have one. I don't really think about the amount of money I spend on books, which obviously is a massive privilege. Also always on the look for things like book swaps in like tube stations. You know, there's often a shelf where you can leave a book and take a book, and I will regularly do things like that. So honestly, in an average month, I don't think I would spend more than £20 on books, and even at that I would be like, oh, that's quite a lot. There are definitely months where I spend more than that on books, but there's not a whole lot of other stuff that I do spend money on. I'm actually pretty thrifty throughout my life, so I do have money left over for books. They are what I place value on, so they are what I would like to spend my money on. Question 2 is, what is the most money that you have ever spent in a bookstore? I'm not sure. When I unhaul books, I will quite regularly sell them to a secondhand store. For instance, Chapters in Dublin. Whenever I go home for Christmas, I usually do quite a big unhaul, and I will try and sell them some books. And I know I have had like maybe €80 credit from them before, and I've spent that in one go. That's credit as opposed to spending cash. I think that would probably be the most I've spent in one go. Next question is, are you willing to pay full price for a new release, or will you wait for some sort of discount or sale? It depends on the book. There are certain auto-buy authors that I have. The one that springs to mind for me is Louise O'Neill. If she's got a new book out, I will buy it straight away. I do massively believe in supporting your local independent bookstore, or at very least your local physical bookstore. I have a lot of opinions on how chain stores discount books and why that is bad for the industry. But in saying that, I don't spend a lot of money on brand new releases from my local independent bookstore. You know, more often than not, I will make a beeline for their secondhand section. While I've just said books are the thing that I like to spend money on, I am thrifty, so I can afford to spend money on books. I'm still not in the position where I can be buying every new hardback release I would like to read. Hopefully one day I will be in the financial position where I can support my local independent bookstore as much as I would like. But as I said, I won't wait for a discount per se, and I never buy books from Amazon or the Book Depository. I now refuse to do that. But rather I will wait for a paperback release, so that's a little bit more affordable. The next question is, would you rather buy one brand new book full price or several discounted used copies? Definitely the latter. This is a no-brainer for me. I don't mind a book that is well loved either. That's fine by me. And ultimately, while I am definitely someone that appreciates a beautiful book, you're paying for the content. The next question is, what do you think is a reasonable price for a hardback book, a paperback book, or an ebook? This is where I have thoughts. And also, just as an FYI, I am coming at this from the perspective of someone that works in sales in the publishing industry. So, hardback book, depending on the book, anywhere from $12.99 up to 20 quid. Some books a bit more expensive than that, like especially if you're thinking about things like cookbooks where they are very highly illustrated and they are on Very, very nice paper. And I suppose for paperback, anywhere from $6.99 to $10.99. Very firmly disagree with the publishing model of going hardback to paperback. I think while I understand why hardbacks are that price and they are worth that price, it's not necessary if you can just do an initial paperback release. And I understand the point of initial hardback release is to drum up reviews, which you can then use to promote the paperback. But I think for so many titles, it's unnecessary. If it's a particularly special title that has a particularly beautiful and illustrative cover, then sure, have a hardback. But I don't think every book needs to go hardback to paperback. I don't think it's necessary. And I think that's one of the things that makes literature really inaccessible for so many people. I think it's a really outdated model and it can be done away with in so many areas of the publishing industry. Now on to ebooks. Ebooks are complicated. So I think ebooks should have a starting price of the full RRP of the alternative, be it hardback or paperback, and then discounted, but I don't think they should be discounted to anything below $3.99 in an ideal world, of which we do not live in. Now, I understand there are so many costs that an ebook doesn't have when compared to a physical book. There is no printing costs, there are no special finishes like foiling or spot UV, there is no transportation costs to the bookshop, there are no shipping costs, it doesn't involve the overheads of the company. I get that. But you're still paying for the content. When I see ebooks that are discounted to 99p, I'm just like, that's putting such little value on all the work that has gone into that. It's placing so little value on the author, the editor, all of the other teams like the marketing team, the sales team, putting so little value on the typesetters. And typesetting an ebook, it's a skilled job. You have to code that book so it works on so many different kinds of devices under so many different settings. When you're selling an ebook for 99p, I feel like that really devalues all of the hard work that has gone into making that product. And I know the logic behind that is it helps that book trend in algorithms then. It drums up interest in it. Maybe more people will read the paperback then because so many people have read the ebook. People will review the ebook and then that'll drum up more sales for the physical books. Maybe you are discounting someone's like previous title in a lead up to a new release. I get all of that. I'm not an idiot. But you are still selling so much work for 99p. This doesn't seem right to me. In saying that, I love that that means more people can read a work. Like, that's fantastic. It's a balancing act, one that I haven't fully figured out my thoughts on, but I definitely have thoughts. One of the things that Olive mentions in her videos is about that correlation between a discounted book leading to increased physical sales or sales for a new release. It's really difficult to figure out that data because while you can track physical book sales spikes, it's much harder for digital because the main ebook retailer refuses to hand over their data. Anyway, that's that question out of the way. The next one is a signed book worth more to you? Or what about a first edition? The short answer is no. I do really enjoy having signed books, and if I am at an event with an author or a literary festival and I can get one of their books signed, then I will. I don't have a copy of their book and I know that they're going to be signing it. That might encourage me to go buy a copy of their book. But if I was in a bookstore and there was like a signed copy for 15 quid and the unsigned one was 10 quid, I'm getting the 10 quid one. In saying that, if I was choosing between two different books that were the same price and one of them was signed and one of them wasn't, it being signed may be a deciding factor for me if I was really torn on which one I was going to buy. First edition doesn't bother me at all. Don't give a shit. The next question is, what is your most valuable book? And this can mean either monetary value or sentimentality. I have some Folio Society books. I have the 2 Alice novels in those editions, and I'm not sure how much they're worth. I got them secondhand and I only paid a tenner for them, which for Folio Society books, you know, a $5 each, that's amazing. But I reckon they're probably the most expensive books that I own. In terms of sentimentality, I'm not too sentimental about any individual books I have. I'm very sentimental about my collection as a whole. But as for individual books, you know, maybe my Harry Potter collection, I'm quite sentimental about my copy of The Magicians by Lev Grossman, which, while I definitely think is a book that has so many problems with it, it's a book that, first time I read it was just before I went to university, and it was on a coach trip to Disneyland, and I really, really vividly remember that time in my life. And also I reread it just before I finished university. So some of the themes in that book really connected with where I was in my life at that moment. It's a book that has huge problems with it, but like, it's a book that I feel a lot of connection to that physical object of it. I feel quite sentimental about The Book Thief and Looking for Alaska because they were two of the books that really got me back into reading. I'm really scared to reread Looking for Alaska, but because I'm certain that I'm gonna hate it. I think I would still like The Book Thief if I reread it. But because they are the books that got me back into reading when I was a teenager, I do feel a bit of sentimentality towards those. Also my Penguin English Library collection, because a lot of the time I collect those books when I'm in different places. If I go on like a trip away somewhere, I will always have a little look in one of the local bookstores to see if I can find one of those books there. There are a lot of those books that I connect with particular experiences or trips that I've been on. Which leads on quite nicely to the next question, which is, would you pay more for an edition or cover that you like? And definitely, I collect the Penguin English Library books because I think they are beautifully designed and I love how the spines look on a shelf. You can get classics for free, be it ebook or audiobook, because they are in the public domain, they are out of copyright. But there are some beautifully designed classic books out there, and I think everyone has their favourite kind of design. There are definitely other kinds of books that have particular editions that I like to collect. There are some Jeanette Winterson covers that I really, really like, and I would eventually like to collect all of her books in those editions, despite having previously owned different editions of those. I think you have to bear in mind the artistry that goes into creating a book is one of the big things that you are paying for as well. When you buy a physical book, there's not just the content and it's not just the work that has gone in to get the book to that point, but it's also a piece of artwork. The next question is, what physical characteristics does a good quality book have? Foil. I think everyone loves a bit of foil on a book. I really enjoy your standard B format paperback. That is my favorite size of book. Because the production module in my publishing masters ruined me, I would like my bottom margins to be double the size of my top margins. I hate when typesetters do that thing where you start a chapter in the middle of the page, go on to the next page. I like my font to be sans serif, and I would like it minimum 12 points. I always said sans serif, and then one of my lecturers called it sans serif, and now I'm really insecure whenever I say it. I don't think I was meant to answer this question with quite so much about typesetting. The next question is, if you won the lottery, what bookish things would you do with the money? I would open a bookshop in Dublin, which had an adjoining publishing house. I know exactly what this bookshop would be like, and I know what it would be called, as I do with the publishing house, but I kind of don't want to say because I still might want to do it one day and I don't want someone to steal the idea. I feel like if I won the lottery, I would also like to fund some sort of like scholarship, either to study creative writing or publishing for people from underrepresented backgrounds. Save the libraries. I would give loads of money to libraries. How much am I winning in this lottery? Pay Reese Witherspoon to adapt one of Louise O'Neill's books. So many ideas that I have floating around in my head when it comes to bookish publishing stuff, and maybe one day I'll get around to doing some of them. And a bonus question is, give us a physical or mental image of your dream bookish library. Okay, so I don't want ceiling to floor shelves because I'm fucking small and I don't want to climb a ladder either. So, like full shelves, but I can reach all of them. They would be arranged, as my current library is, alphabetically by publisher, but split into fiction, non-fiction, and poetry. I would like several seating options I would definitely like a window seat. I've always wanted a window seat and I've never had one. I would like a big, cozy armchair, and next to it, you know, you get those people who have like the globes and they open it up and there's like whiskey and stuff in it. I want one that has like a kettle and different varieties of tea in it. I would like an open fire, please. Oh, and with the window seat, it's like a fuck off window. Like, it's massive. I would like a dog who loves being in the library with me while I'm reading. I feel like I also want a hammock in there that I would never use, but it would look really aesthetic. I would like a picture wall, like a basic bitch picture wall, like the one that I will have when I put these photos up, with literary quotes and stuff on it. That's it. I think that would be my dream library. And they are all the questions in this tag. If you find this tag interesting and you would like to answer the questions, I really encourage you to film your own version of this, because it is super interesting and I think a little bit of honesty goes a long way. Leave me a comment down below if you have thoughts on any of the things I have mentioned. And as ever, I hope you guys are having a wonderful week, and I will talk to you in my next video.